Hi everyone, I'm Luke Hector and you're watching The Broken Meeple. This is a YouTube channel about board games where I give reviews, top 10s and my honest opinions, regardless of the consequences.
Get on with it.
Welcome everybody to the games I played in the last month. Yes, I know there's been a bit of a hiatus with this series, and I'm not going to say it's not going to be the last time that happens, but basically, if I get time, I like to talk about games I played in the last month that I didn't do for actual review. These can be games that I've had on the shelf for ages, these could be new games that I'm not going to review but I've played, and so it just gives me a chance to talk about some other games and for you guys to get my thoughts on some different titles. So, September, there was a decent amount of games played, but a lot of them were for review. And so that does narrow what I can really do, and I'm probably going to have the same problem for October, frankly. But there are a few games that missed the list, and so these ones that I'm going to mention are games that I might review in the future in some cases, but that kind of depends on request and how much time I have. But mainly they could also be games that I've played before or not played and will never, I'm not going to review or not going to buy them in a later date. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. For now, let's start with this big bad boy. Hello, Deep Rock Galactic. Now, I have mentioned this game several times on the show. This is the playmat that comes with it. So yes, I got this on the Kickstarter. I had this as a game that I was looking forward to at the end of 2022. It got delayed. And then I thought, okay, fine, it'll be a 2023 game. I'll get it around January, February time. I didn't get this until September. Yeah, this game took a while to hit the UK, despite the fact everybody else was getting it. And it took even longer because it was a group pledge. And group pledges take longer than normal pledges most of the time. This actually certifies the last time I am going to do any group pledges in the future. No more, I'm just going to buy it myself. But Deep Rock Galactic, I have mentioned this video game many times. This is a game that I have sunk 500 plus hours into this on Steam, on the PC. I just go on randomly and play a quick game or deep dive of Hazard 5, high difficulty, all 4 classes, all high gold level or whatever, because I spread it out amongst all 4 classes, ranking 300 and something, I don't know. But basically I played the game a lot and I think I'm pretty good at it. But when I heard that they were doing a tabletop version of this, I was, for the most part, gagging for this. Like, pretty much fanboy. And, mainly because I played it a lot of times. But then I was also thinking, new publisher, Kickstarter. Uh-oh, these could have a lot of red flags, and I was suddenly a little worried. And at the last minute, I decided, back it. Because I thought, you know what, it's a game based on one of my favorite video games I've ever played. Why the hell should I not give this one a chance? And I've met the people, Mood Publishing at Essen. They're very nice people, and apparently they're only down the road from Ghost Ship Games, who make the video game. So this was kind of how they met and did this collaboration. So kind of made sense, and there's this cool little backstory. And spoiler alert, I backed the expansions. Yes, they are too expensive. Really too expensive, but I did a bit of side work lately, and Christmas is coming up and I figured I would treat myself, and I've offset some of the cost, but as a personal thing. But this game, oh my god, I will review it at some point, although spoiler alert, warts and all, this game has some problems, but for the most part, it's all good stuff. That's an Essen promo right there, and I've done some printouts of FAQs and reference aids. That's where some of the bad stuff comes in. But man, I am enjoying this game. This is a co-op, 1 to 4 players. You take control of a team of dwarfs. You go into these asteroids. You mine out minerals. You complete objectives like get alien eggs and stuff. All the while, the various bugs that are in this dungeon, this asteroid, come out and try and eat you. And I've even got the little mini expansion that came out. Now, this is a lot of stuff in here. I mean, I've got tiles here. You've then got the actual player board. So I've got the player board for the driller, nice dual layer board. There was a decent amount of production quality in here, but you have, I'm not going to get them out on show on the camera, you just have to look on the pictures because otherwise it'll take forever, but this game has lots of really cool quality, like high quality miniatures for all the different bugs that feel like, with the exception of maybe the Menace looks a bit weird, but all of them, the rest of them look like the video game. All the dwarfs look like the video game. The guns, the pictures, how the creatures act, everything is faithful, within poetic license, but everything's pretty faithful to the video game. And and it just replicates it so well. And I've had a lot of fun playing this either solo or even as a 4-player co-op. I mean, you play this as a 4-player co-op and it is great fun. Each person with a different character, and you've got to work together. If you go off on your own, it's going to end badly, but it's against the clock. You know, you've got to beat the clock, the swarms are coming, you got to kill off the bugs, but you've got to get on with the objectives. So sometimes you are literally booking it for the exit, you know, your drop pod, you know, while everything is trying to kill you, and you haven't got time to shoot because you're out of ammo, you didn't resupply, and you need to get to the drop pod fast because otherwise the timer is going to run out. It's just, it really does a great job of the theme, and it's definitely, I think, up there in one of my favorite, you know, skirmish scenario-based games. I mean, you can play this as a deep dive and play some of the row, but who the hell cares? You play this as a proper skirmish game. I think the expansion is going to introduce a campaign in it, like a way to play multiple missions with the space rig. Not sure I'm keen on that, but with the expansions, I mainly just want more mission types, more creatures. Those biomes I think are going to be sweet. There's a lot of stuff in there I want, and this is already taking up a lot of space on my shelf. It's going to take up even more at this rate. But so far, really enjoying this. It is far from a perfect game, if I'm being brutally honest, in terms of pros and cons. But it is giving me an enjoyment factor that is very high up there, and you know, as much as I've had to put in a little bit of effort to conquer the fact that this does have some FAQ issues and maybe not the most, you know, expanded out rulebook ever, and you know, the fact that it is a big box and the miniatures do sort of poke each other when they're trying to fit on your board, you know, warts and all, still really enjoy this. This is just working for me. It's great to see a first publisher, first Kickstarter do actually well and get a lot of fans, and it's just great to see a video game license do its video game justice. I mean, how many games have we had, like, you know, Dark Souls and a few of these other Horizon and other video games that have been represented in games that not very well. I mean, does anybody remember the calamity that was Mega Man? The Street Fighter game, and the Resident Evils that have been out, Evil Deads. Yeah, not a lot of good video game licensed board games out there. This is up there as one of, in my opinion, the best that I've seen. So down it goes for now. Let's talk about another game I've played recently. Oh, the Voyages of Marco Polo. Oh yes, this, I don't see people play this one often, but a lot of fans, there are a lot of fans for it. I played it a few times a while back. I don't think I reviewed it, but I played it a few times ago and didn't like the game. And I was just like, yeah, I found this kind of boring. The stuff with the dice was weird. The powers, yes, I know they're meant to be all really powerful, but there are blatantly a couple of powers in there that are far better than others, and there's definitely a couple of powers, asymmetric powers, that are just flat out rubbish, you know, compared to the rest. But, you know, I could get over that to an extent. But the main thing was that I just kind of got bored with what the game was doing. I mean, you place dice on the different spaces, you get contracts, you get resources, trade them in for points, you go traveling along a little mini-map to get some other bonuses. You know, there wasn't a huge amount in the game to entertain me. It was essentially a beige Euro with some dice. It had fairly simple rules, so it had that going for it, and, you know, cool little camel meeples, and there was certainly a decent amount of turnouts with other players, but, yeah, there just wasn't much else for it. But you know, I was at Midgard with Hilmar and Dave Loser, and I think it was just the three of us. And basically, you know, Hilmar wanted to play the game. I'm not aware that he'd played it before, but Dave likes the game. And I thought, you know what, I want to play a game with you two, and I'm in this kind of mood at the moment where I'm trying to play games that I hated in the past to see if my tastes have changed. Not all of them. I still probably will hate Kingdom Builder and Concordia and Power Grid with a flying passion, but I did give Dune Imperium another chance, and I enjoyed it more with the expansions. I think I gave, I'm trying to remember a couple of others, but there have been a couple of other older games where I'm like, okay, this isn't as bad as I remember, and stuff like that. I would also quite like to play the New Zealand Great Western Trail and give that another chance. Maybe my tastes have changed where I can appreciate a different version of Great Western Trail, just not the original one. But we shall see. You know, my mates have got New Zealand, they like it. It looked funny with the sheep and stuff, so maybe, well, who knows, and I can give you my thoughts. But Voyages of Marco Polo was another one that I just found kind of below average and meh. Now, I find it fine. My taste has changed, and it's improved my decision on this game, but it's still fine. I mean, I could maybe bump it up to a 6 out of 10. I think I previously had it as a 4, maybe even a 3. I really didn't like it at first. I warmed up to it a bit more. I could maybe go up to a 6 and say it's above average, maybe average now. I reckon I could go for a 6. I enjoyed my game, not just because of the company. I had fun with the dice and the mechanics, and I was basically zipping around the map like Speedy Gonzales. I forget which power I had. I think I had the one that said I didn't need to pay coins when I went on top of people or something, which is pretty handy. Some of those powers are insane, but I don't know, I just kind of enjoyed it a bit more this time round. I don't dislike it now. I just find it fine. It's a beige Euro, does what it does. I don't know if Voyages of Marco Polo 2 does a lot of improvement for the game. It kind of just looks like the same thing, but with added bits or tweaks. But maybe that's the one I need to play. So I would give it a try, but I'm not exactly going to hunt it down and try it. It's just there. So Voyages of Marco Polo, I don't hate it anymore. Things have changed, but I'm not exactly going to say it's amazing either. It does the job. Right, what else have we done this month? I'm looking at the phone here for games played in December, and man, there's a lot of stuff that I just reviewed, but the stuff that I've talked about already quite a distance. I mean, I played Voidfall, reviewed it, played Spirit Island, reviewed it, played Leaf, reviewed it, City of the Great Machine, Zoo Tycoon, just reviewed that one. Ra, I've reviewed that one. So Lands of Galzir, I've reviewed that one. So there's a lot of these ones that I've reviewed. It's trying to find one that I haven't talked about as much. That will do nicely. Why don't we try this one? Also at Midgard, I think I mentioned this on the podcast actually, Mosaic, A Story of Civilization. I had been wanting to play this game for so long, it was so high on my wish list, and thankfully, Hilmar had basically said to me that in 3 months' time, if you have not played this game by the time you come to Midgard, we're playing it. And he had the Colossus edition, so he has the big one with all the miniatures and all the metal coins and everything. The swanky version. And I tried to get it played at several conventions and was always busy doing something else. And that included the retail and the Colossus version. I was just always doing something else. So home comes Midgard, Hilmar brings it out. Get to play it. And because I do like civilization themed games, not all of them have worked for me, okay? I think Through the Ages, when you play it on the app, is a great game. I think Nations is a great game. I love Civilization A New Dawn and the original FFG 2010 Civilization. Great game. I love civilization as a theme. Now, granted, I've played Mega Civilization, I think that's a complete giant turd. But, there are some Civilization games that don't work. That's being one of them. Hate that game. But this one was high on my list, and I thought, okay, this is going to be a fairly abstracted game from what I've heard, but it's Civ themed, you get technologies, I get to be a different nation, different thing, and it's like, let's go with it. Took a long time to set up. This game is a little bit of a table presence, and the nature of like how you set it up with those tokens all over the land and you're flipping them over to find out which commodities are everywhere is such a chore. It's such a pain. I want to hire a little man to follow me around with this game so that whenever it's going to get played, he can set it up and I don't have to, because I don't want to be in that room when it's being set up. That being said, what's it like to play? Interesting, cool game. I mean, the turns are very simple and they're all written on the board. You can essentially build structures, you can go around your map, you can get military units, you can declare tax, you can, grab a technology, you can do all sorts of cool little things. And the actions are not particularly complicated, but a lot of this game works very similarly to a kind of Terraforming Mars, Ark Nova type thing of collecting icons on cards. If you've got the icons, you can unlock other technologies and build certain buildings and stuff like that. You can score points for area control and some other aspects, but, there's some cool things about this game. Looks cool with the Colossus edition, but the art style on that board, it's kind of off-putting. It's difficult for me to visualize where the borders are of the various regions, and it just kind of blots together with that whole style. Mosaic is really not a style of art I'm a fan of. I really don't particularly like it. It's just visually what's the word? I find it visually disorganized or distracting. Visually distracting to look at Mosaic style artwork. But the game itself played very smooth. It didn't take long after the teach. In fact, the teach itself didn't take that long. I was kind of surprised at how smooth and relatively straightforward the game mechanics are. Now, I played it and enjoyed it. I think I played as an artist, and I wanted to do something really weird because I heard that the game was mostly about the area control, and I always like to try and disprove these theories when I come into a game first time and try something weird. Usually when I'm then proved wrong, like games like Imperial Steam for example, I then end up hating the game because the rigidness and restrictiveness of the games comes through, and I'm like, oh, so I can't actually do my own thing, I have to do it this way. Ugh. And yes, I hate Imperial Steam. My mate loves it to bits. I hate it. But thanks for teaching me anyway. But with the Mosaic one, the scoring in it, I found, is a bit too heavily geared towards the area control. We finished with very tight scores, so you're probably thinking, well, hang on, isn't that a bit hypocritical? No, because these Empire scoring cards come out of the decks, and when they happen, you score predominantly for the area control aspect. Only 2 out of 3 of them came out, and normally 3 of them come out in most games. The only reason only 2 came out is because I ended the game doing the weird thing I was doing. Had the 3rd one come out, the person doing the most area control would have blitzed the rest of us. I mean, he still won. It's not like he lost, but he only won by a few points. I was basically munchkining technologies like crazy, getting stupidly high rates of tax and tariff, yet I was the only person who triggered a tax card the entire game. So what was the point of that mechanic? And I did almost no area control. I practically didn't even touch the map apart from building a wonder at some point. But I had so much money, it hurt. And money is a wild resource. So I didn't need to worry about the fact I wasn't producing much food and stone. I basically just paid for everything. Because if I did a tax, I could get a ton of money. As the artist, I was getting money for other people doing stuff. And I grabbed technologies that meant when other people did stuff, I got money. So I just had all the cash. And it was a fun way to play. It was totally different from what the others were doing. And I enjoyed it more as a result. But I would have lost the game outright by a decent margin had we had free Empire scoring cards. And so I have to do a bit of area control, but area control is one of the least interesting mechanics out there, frankly. It's not something I desperately want to do in games, and so being forced to do that in order to do well in the game is a bit off-putting. And Civilization games should be games that you can kind of do your own thing and still do well. That's the nature of them. You know, Through the Ages has its restrictions, but you can be reasonably flexible. Nations has a fairly flexible way of looking at it. Civilization: A New Dawn, you know, pretty flexible as well, especially the original FFG Civilization. You know, you're going to go for military, you're going to go for technology, you're going to go for coin, you know, that sort of thing is really cool. Being pigeonholed into area control, I don't know, but I'd need to play it more times to find out if that's a big deal. It is smooth though. I would not pay the money to buy the Colossus edition though, because the miniatures are completely unnecessary. You can't even tell what the difference is between half of them unless you paint them, and it's not something I'm going to do. The table presence is ridiculous. The box is a giant coffin. It's insane. I mean, the metal coins are cool, but you still get the cool cards, you still get the artwork in that, so really, you know, you get these boards that you barely use. Like the point score track is this massive board and you don't use it until pretty much the end of the game. What is the point? But then I've heard that there's some quality of life issues that when you buy the retail version, stuff that makes life a little bit easier is not in that version, it's in the Colossus version. That stuff gets a little bit annoying. So, you know, I want to play this again. I did enjoy it. I would rate it probably at most an 8 out of 10, but probably a 7. I'm giving it a 7 for now. It's a good game that I would like to try again, perhaps with a smaller boxed version to compare the two, but I'm not going to pay 150 plus quid on postage and all the add-ons and that to grab it on Kickstarter or, you know, in the shops for that amount. It's just, it's too much. It's too much faff to set it up. I mean, the setup for this game would give Voidfall a run for its money. You know, I think Voidfall still has the longer setup of the two, but Mosaic ain't that far behind. It is pretty insane. And you know what I hate a lot in games? Long, faffy setups. Yeah, they do get on my nerves. So I want to try it again, but with someone else's copy. All right. Let's see, another one I'll talk about. Fort. Briefly, I'll talk about this one because I don't think I've ever done a review of Fort, but Fort is a very underrated deck builder. It's fantastic. One of my favorite deck builders. It is probably a deck builder that has theme, and that is something that is hard to do. Deck builders do not do theme, but it's basically American Recess or, you know, British Playground, whatever, playtime, whatever you call it, whichever country you're in. But the idea is that your kid's building a fort, and the fort is one way to end the game and get points. But you can also play cards to get points by various other ways. But the meat in the game is basically the turn sequence. So you've got this, it's from the same later game, so it's the same people who did Root. So it's got that style of artwork, and honestly, I think the artwork suits this game more than it does Root, but that's just me. But with this one, it's a deck builder, pure deck builder, but you don't play your whole hand. It works a bit differently here. You play a single card from your hand. It has a public and private action. Public can be done by everybody. They follow you by playing a card of the same suit, because the cards will come in different suits with different icons. And the private action is your own. You can do them in any order. And they do things like get you pizza and toys and let you make, build up your fort and, fill up your backpack and get victory points, put cards in your lookout that can be used in future turns, that sort of thing. But the idea is that when you play the card, a lot of them have multiplier actions that can be boosted with other cards of the same suit. So I play a squirt, I play like Does He Lick, or whatever, I don't know, stupid name, but Does He Lick? What the hell did that come from? But the idea is I play this one, it's a squirt gun character, that makes it worse. But basically I play this suit and then I boost it with other squirt guns. And so, with those cards, the action gets better. And then once you've done that, you leave those cards out. You then have to recruit a card, but it can come from a face-down deck, a public display, or another player's yard, because at the end of your turn, the cards that you don't use go face up into your yard, and they can be potentially nicked by other players. This is such a clever mechanic, it is unreal. Things like the anachrony time travel and stuff like that, I give props to when theme is really done well with a mechanic, and this is brilliant. Because it makes sense. You're playing with the kids. That's basically what the idea is. You're playing with other kids. That's the idea of playing the cards. If you don't play with the kids, they throw a strop. They get jealous. They go off and get recruited by some other fort. It's like, fine, he doesn't want to play with me. I'm going to go over to his fort. His fort's better. You guys suck. I'll see you later. It's basically Eric Cartman South Park syndrome. I kind of play this as if I'm playing a South Park parody game. And thematically, that works so well. I've even thrown in dogs and cats where, the dogs, similarly, they give you cool bonuses if you can make their conditions, but if you don't play with a dog, they go wander to the next player's deck, without you even trying. It's like, dogs want to be loved too. And the cat, brilliant. If you have a certain type of number of cards in your yard at the end of your turn, the cat might come over to your board and give you some cool ability. But as soon as somebody else meets the same condition, the cat wanders off and goes to them, because cats are fickle little gits sometimes, as much as I love cats. So the theme is just so well done, but it's a smooth game, not particularly clunky. The reference card's got all you need. Main problem is that it does drag on a bit. 3 and 4 players, 4 players especially, does drag on a bit. I usually cap this at 3 players. If I play this with 2, it's fantastic, but 3 players is a decent enough sweet spot. 4 players I just think is a bit too long. 3 new players, especially if you've got anybody who's quite slow, this game can drag. I do wish it had a solo mode. It doesn't have one. I don't even know how you would do a solo mode, frankly. But if I get a chance to bring this one out, I bring it out. Small box, looks cool, unique, innovative. It ticks a lot of boxes to be one of my favorite deck builders. Do I have time to talk about another one? 20-something minutes? One more, you know what, I'm feeling nice. Okay, I'll talk briefly about this one because frankly you might want to check out my review video. But yes, I had another great game of Hegemony. Hegemony, if I don't play Hegemony at a convention, something's gone wrong, because it's the perfect time to play it. I can play my copy solo, but, I prefer to play it with the full count of 4 players, or at least 3 players. I think 3 players is a good sweet spot as well, but I love to play this game. I mean, Hegemony, I gave a 9 out of 10 earlier in the year. Possibly that could even escalate to a 10 by this point, because I think I actually like it more now than I did then, the more times I've played it. But this is just such a great, unique, brain-burny Euro that has a theme that I would have stayed clear from to begin with, but does it so well, integrates it so well into the mechanics and the camaraderie and the banter with the players that it just sucked me in and got me immersed. This is fully interactive. Everything you do impacts other players. I complain about multiplayer solitaire in games. You mentioned the word solitaire outside of playing the solo mode, and there's something wrong with you. This game is impactful, it's interactive. If I do this, it's going to affect all 3 of you in some way, some good, some bad, but you got to kind of balance everything out. Every role has the different, middle class, working class, state, capitalist. They've got their own different style of play, so it's asymmetric play with asymmetric goals, but with interwoven things that everybody wants. The capitalist wants the working class and the middle class to work for them so they can produce cool goods. The working class obviously want work. They want to go get paid. They want high wages though because they want to meet their needs. The middle class wants to kind of be self-sufficient. The state's got to keep everybody in check. I love playing the state. The state doesn't have many actions to pick from, but I love the whole idea that I get to watch all 3 other players and the flow of the game and go, you're getting a little bit too powerful, need to bring you back a little bit. You know what, I'm going to give a little bit of going to give you some state benefit. Let's make healthcare a little bit cheaper for the working class. That's fine. Don't worry, capitalist. I'm going to give you some money. Here, have some money, but don't spend it all at once. And I don't know, I just love that thing about playing the state. I think in this game I was playing the state. Played the state, 4 of us. Everybody had played the game before, though 2 were sort of returning players. Played it with my friend Neil, who really loves the game as well, after I showed it to him. And he's into this theme like crazy, so it just sings for him like mad. But I played the state, played the other 3 players, and it was very tight scoring until we did the end game scoring at the last minute, and the state, overlapped, overtook by a decent margin. But oh man, I love this game. This game is just so good. It's such a marvelous design, and it's so clever that even if you don't like the game, you gotta give it respect for how it's been made. This new one that they've got coming out, I saw at Essen, New World Order. It's an area control game with an international politics theme that they're looking to kickstart, I think, some point next year. I mean, I don't know. Sounds cool. I mean, if they can design it as cleverly as this one, then great. The whole area control theme is not really my shtick, but you know what? I'll give them, you've made a belter of a game for me. I'm going to at least give you the benefit of the doubt and let you show me and win me over. In fact, as much as I'm done pretty much with doing Kickstarter videos, I am picky in choosing certain Kickstarter videos to do, and I might be involved in doing something for maybe a preview for a New World Order in the long run. We shall see. But, I get on quite well with the group there. But yeah, I love this game, and I think I'm in a game actually at either GridCon or HandyCon. I'll be playing a game. I think I've got one booked for GridCon. I need to try and get a game in at HandyCon, because let's face it, somebody at HandyCon is going to want to play it. And I love this game. It's fantastic. Got to play it again. Seriously, you got to give this one a try. Not for everybody. Totally not for everybody. Go check out my review I did earlier this year. It's a big, meaty, full review. There's a lot to talk about, a lot you need to know, but if it's in any way enticing you, give this one a try. Believe me. So I think I better wrap it up here. That's a few games that I played in September. Mostly pretty good. I don't think there was really any bad game I played. I mean, Marco Polo is probably the least favourite thing I played, and even then it's still an improvement over what it was before, so pretty good going for that month. Was it the same way for October outside of Essen games? Well, you'll have to wait and see. So that's it for me on this episode of The Broken Meeple. If you like what you see, then please thumb it up on YouTube and let me know your thoughts in the comments about all these games. Do you like them? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you detest them? Am I wrong? Are you right? Whatever. You like to tell me these things, and I love to read them. So take care, and remember, regardless of whether your thing is social politics or shifting camels around the desert, it's still only a game. Bye for now, everyone.